Go.
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
Thank you,
Laura.
James.
You're welcome. All right. Good night, people.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Here.
Almost ready. Okay.
I'm gonna close it.
Yep. Go to Zoom. There we are. Got it.
Yay.
Hi, Elizabeth. Oh,
Hi.
you have to keep remembering, don't look at the computer, look at the screen.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Uh,
And then Elizabeth, you're not on the,
No.
because you're hiding in the corner. All right.
Oh, I was looking at the camera, and I can go over here.
All right. Agenda. So, I don't know if we should start this exact moment or wait a minute or two.
expecting
Marius, for sure,
Mhm.
and maybe others, but, so why don't we wait 2 minutes, 3 minutes? And anyway, but we can chit chat. And Karina, I can't remember, have you been to environmental before?
No, I haven't. This is my first time.
Oh, good, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yes. I'm gonna be participating on Saturday's event.
Got it. Got it. Oh, you know who's missing? Teresa.
Teresa.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to her on the phone. I was like, where is she? She said she was gonna log in and test to make sure we're good, but
Okay.
where is she? So we're missing 2 people at least. But I'm feeling better.
Good, yay.
Because
Yeah, you
this is
got it
all
done.
up. It got all up.
Yeah.
So, Karina, every time I come here to start a meeting, I just
Yeah.
panic that even though I've done now this technology quite a bit, it's like, oh my God, how do I get the TV on? Oh my God, how do I do this? Every
Yeah.
single time.
It's like
And then
new. It's like being in front of all your equipment for the first time.
Exactly. I mean, it feels that way, and you know, I'm good at Zoom meetings. I mean, I do them from my computer all the time, so I don't know. You texting Marius?
Yes. You are free to join.
Oops. And Teresa's here.
Yay.
Okay. So we'll wait 1 more minute. Hi, Teresa.
Hey there, Laura. How are you?
I'm defrazzling, if that's even a word.
Well, everything looks good from here.
Yes, but I mean, right after we hung up, I realized I wasn't connected to the television. You know, in other words, we didn't have a hybrid Zoom going. We just had a computer. We were on Zoom, and we were on a computer, but we weren't on the.
But you're set now, the HDMI,
Yes.
everything is set in. Okay,
Everything's
good.
good.
Wow.
Everything's fine. So I think we can't keep waiting.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, you go ahead. You can share.
Call to
Well,
order. Okay.
I'll share the screen.
All right, so welcome. Yeah, you'll share the agenda. So
I
welcome.
will.
We'll start the meeting now. Call to order.
Introduce
Let's-
yourself.
I'm Elizabeth Fenner, live down the street, and I'd love to go around the room and introduce ourselves, right? So I am a lifelong environmentalist, thank you, a 15-year,
Do you have?
I think it's about 15-year West Adams resident, and I'm watching you.
I know, I'm trying to figure out
And
how
a
to
new-
page down.
Children's librarian at LaSalle Elementary. I just got offered the job on this last week. So I'm very excited to be a new librarian, and I can't wait to bring in plants and talk about nature with them, put up posters. That's it. Can we go on to Teresa? Why don't you introduce yourself next?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hey, everybody. I'm Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the UNNC. And thank you for letting me be here.
Kareen? Kareen, can you unmute and introduce yourself to the group?
Or no? Whoops. Now I've got this. Well, Elizabeth is here too. Oh.
Yes. Let's wait. Kareen, we'll wait for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, here. Hi, everybody.
Oh, great.
Okay, I'm Kareen Alpridge. I was curious and I decided to join today. I am part of the UNNC, representing Harvard Heights, and but this is my first time meeting, so I'm excited to be here.
Great, thank you. And when did you begin to be interested in the environment, and what specific thing do you think is your passion?
I love trees. I love trees. I always like nature, and I do my part whenever there's opportunities to be out in nature and do something. But I wanted to get more involved, particularly this year, into something. So I am helping out Saturday. Teresa invited me, and hoping to participate and want to hear a little bit more on what happens at the environmental committee and what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that. And Elizabeth, how are you going to?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm with Garden School Foundation. We're a nonprofit that does school-based garden education, and we're located in West Adams. I also now live in West Adams, so I just
Oh, do you?
area, yeah, not too long ago. So I'm excited now to be an official member of the neighborhood.
Wow, which little sub neighborhood are you in?
I'm by I guess closer to like Culver City, but like Alsace Ave and area. Yeah. A little bit further down from the school, but yeah.
And
we have Marius, I think, just
yes,
joined.
he's just joining. So in the meantime, I'm Laura Myers, sitting here with Elizabeth, and I am on the UNNC board. I live in Angeles Vista, and I'm also a longtime member of this committee, along with Planning and Zoning Committee, and I'm an officer at UNNC. And hi, Marius, how are you?
Great, how are you?
So we're just doing introductions.
Okay, I guess I'm next then.
Yeah.
My name is Mario Stelli. I live in Jefferson Park. I've been a resident all my life.
And a former UNNC board member.
Yes, and a former UNNC board member involved in various different committees.
And then native plant aficionado, if not expert.
Yeah, definitely get involved in that. Definitely do.
Okay, so we have the agenda up, but I can take it down because you've probably all seen it, right?
It's in everybody's email, I think.
Yeah,
They would have gotten
I
it.
sent it to.
Okay, any changes, updates, or requests related to the agenda?
We cannot add to the agenda. We can review it. We can subtract.
Okay, anything you think we'll not have time for? Okay, all right, let's move on to general public comment if you've got it. Let's try to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes. Anything that's happening in the last month or 2 months that you'd like to tell the group about?
You're not.
Anybody's basement flood?
Anybody's basement didn't flood? Okay.
Anything happening out there? Any new news? Any new electric vehicles? I'm giving them a chance.
I know you are.
All right, let's move on to item number 1, or item 3A, LA Urban Forest Management Plan.
Just an announcement.
It's an announcement, and I think that's Teresa, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Let me first apologize for not being on camera. So the city and county, the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles are conducting neighborhood workshops in preparation for the preparation of the urban forestry management plan. They are going to 25 different locations within the city and 25 within the county. And we are having an event on Saturday that each council district is getting one event. And Council District 10 is hosting theirs on Saturday at 3901 West Adams, which is St. Paul's Lutheran Church at 9th Avenue. It will be from 10 to noon. The goal is to engage the community with their ideas of what they want, how they interact with trees. Do they want more trees? Where would they like to see more trees? So there are 6 different stations. The community will come in, there's a presentation, the community will go to each station and give input, and all this data will be collected and will be part of the UFMP. Anybody have any questions?
I do, Teresa. Is part of this, are they going to ask people what kind of trees they want to see, or is that,
Sure.
or have they already decided the kinds?
No, there is a station that where you discuss the benefits of trees. There's a station that says neighborhood needs, and in that, while that's being facilitated, you can write what types of species of trees, where you would like to see trees, on Post-its. The city forest officer, we're also lucky the city forest officer is attending our event, so certainly we'll have an opportunity to talk directly to her. But yeah, she'll be able to share the species, the types of trees, locations, parks, schools, parkways, where you would like to see trees.
Marius, weren't you involved in the effort, and I think Elizabeth too, about selecting trees on exposition or by the train, something like? I'm trying to remember.
I I don't remember. I think we did some work on that. I can't remember the details, but I think we did. But I don't remember what the result was of any of that.
Yeah.
If
I
anything
think
happened.
and I think what Teresa is also telling us is that the city is kind of more, is this right, more interested in actually hearing from us and being directed. I mean, it feels so much better now, I guess, and this workshop reflects that, right? Yes,
I mean, this UFMP is going to be a plan that will be in place for 10 years, with after 5 years being there will be a revision period at the 5-year mark. But this portion that we're doing right now is the community engagement portion. You guys may remember a year or so, I did a presentation, and you may have seen people canvassing the neighborhood, identifying all of our trees. That is also, the city and the county received a large grant from CAL FIRE to conduct the survey. So all of the trees have been identified. I think there may be one neighborhood council that it hasn't been completed, but of all the other 98 neighborhood councils, the locations have all been documented, and that's in the Tree Keeper program, where you can go in and pull up your block and you can see the trees, the health of the tree, the size of the tree. So that was the first part, to identify all of the trees. And there are several different parts, but now we're in the community engagement part, getting feedback from the community.
All right, so great. So UNNC has sent out one e-blast. We'll send out a reminder tomorrow, I guess, because that's the last chance we can. And it'd be great if, if anybody wants to talk to their neighbors or other people, just one-on-one, to attend on Saturday, because I think the better the turnout, the better the input.
Yes, and South LA Tree Coalition is partnering with KYCC, who has taken on the lion's share of the outreach. So we are expecting between 50 to 100 people. We're having refreshments. Also, there are a couple of giveaways. KYCC is putting together a pruning kit. And then we have 2 $50 Visa gift cards that we're also raffling off. So it's an opportunity to come out, talk about how, how you would like to see our community in the next 5, 10, 20 years, because this is the plan for that. I know many of you may know Donna Jones. She has mentioned many times, why don't we look like Hancock Park? Well, here's an opportunity for us to come out and talk about what we want, so that now when this UFMP is completed, it goes to the county board of supervisors, and it goes to city council, and then the programs will begin the initiation process of, meeting the goals set forth in the UFMP. So here's our opportunity as a community to come out and say, we want more trees. We want more parkway trees. We want this type of tree. We want backyard trees. We want more trees in the park or at schools. So I hope everybody can come out and put their 2 cents in.
That sounds great.
It's great. And Teresa, I just want to say, I hope on Saturday, somebody thanks you out loud in front of the 100 people, but we need to thank you here because I know she's she's been working on this. So, very much appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much, Laura. And also, I'll just let the committee know that at last week's governing board meeting, the governing board approved the formation, I think the reactivation, but the formation of a tree committee that will meet quarterly. So for all of those interested in really focusing on trees, there's going to be an opportunity to, have a standalone committee to do that.
So, but Teresa is not taking on the prior projects.
It sounds as if it's the kind, on Saturday, it's the kind of event that someone can drop in on.
Yeah.
Is that right? They don't have to stay for 2 hours, but they can provide.
Yes, I would say the first 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to come in, have some refreshments, and then I'm going to do a short presentation, about 10-minute presentation. And then you're going to go to each station. We have a facilitator at each station. You're going to, complete some Post-it notes, put some stickies on a big poster board, and share your input that way. So it's really an opportunity to kind of mingle and, discuss how you would, how you think trees can better our lives and the wellness of our community.
What I'd like to know is that the city is going to listen to the input that's given, that's collected there, that the data points that are collected, because I was actually, I was front and center on the choice of the street trees along Expo.
Oh,
I was on the board at the time.
Right.
And I remember that Renee Gunter chose the ginkgos, which are still doing okay. I mean, they're doing fine. And there might be 6 or 7 city representatives. I want to say 6 representatives at the meeting, and I felt quite intimidated by the fact that I was alone, sort of a housewife saying, I want there to be natives along, and they basically said no, no, you don't get natives. And so I argued for natives. I argued for oaks, for live oaks, wherever they could put them, and I was given a flat out no, you can't. The carve outs aren't big enough. And we got Chitalpas, I think, and we definitely got Palo Verde. We got some other choices. But it was fascinating to make that pledge, that claim that we needed natives, because natives help the birds, because natives help, and Marius knows all this. Natives provide the bugs that feed the native birds and will create more, butterflies and stuff. A little punchline from that episode was that there was one man that was in charge. Oh, and Marius, I see you, raise your hand. There was one man that was in charge, and there was a woman that worked for the city, and she sort of was chiming up for our argument that natives were good. And he turned to her and said, I didn't know you were so into natives. And she turned to him and said, my son's name is Oak.
So
It was a great story. It was a great out. Kidding. So
Marius.
putting your statement out there and getting as many statements as possible will get more power with the city, will turn their minds from this conventional, this is what we've always done, this is what we're comfortable with, to, okay, they've spoken. Marius, and then Kareen.
Yeah, definitely, Larry, on top of that, the benefits are well known. I know the state and the city and others have started to create more of a push towards planting more California natives. And well, one thing's for sure is usually the reason I'm hearing most are kind of going against it is there are a lot of other people involved in this industry and others who are have this idea that natives are difficult to deal with. It's because they're used to planting what is considered exotic plants, the plants that we all see, the ones from all the different other places that were brought into the state. And so when they try to do the same thing of over fertilizing, over watering, everything else with natives, they end up not doing well. And then they say, oh, they just die, so don't even deal with it. So that's kind of the thing that folks like that, including the chief arborist who's I spoke to about 2-3 years ago, I remember him saying, well, there's like, oak disease and all of a sudden oak death and all these things. And I'm like, well, yeah, but how come cities like Thousand Oaks, they plant oaks all over their city and they don't seem to have this problem, or if they do, they know how to mitigate it. And that's kind of the things we have to use examples of other cities who planted oaks and have actively worked on them and have had success with them. Not only that, but California black walnut and then many of the other native trees that are involved in that. And so these are things where we have to start telling, essentially letting them know that other cities have had success. How do we bring this in? How can we do it in a manner that benefits it? Because I think people just don't understand or don't want to understand it, and so they blow it off and say, "Well, no, we can't deal with this, or we don't want to deal with it." And so it's like, well, it's actually good because it's less maintenance, it's less everything. So yeah.
Well, if I
Yes.
could just address a couple of those things. The issue with the black walnuts, first of all, the city wants to plant more natives. And one of the issues are the size of the parkways. Native trees need a lot of root zone. They have a large root zone. South LA Tree Coalition did a community engagement in Central Alameda, which desperately needs trees, but the community there did not want to relinquish any parking, to give up any parking to have bump outs to put in large trees. So this is also part of the process of finding out what's important in a particular neighborhood. Some communities may say, we want trees, but parking is vital to our life. We don't have adequate parking. So that's why it's important that we come out and we talk about it. Yes, the city needs to plant more natives. I'm also on Community Forest Advisory Committee, and this comes up many, many times. Right now, there's a pilot project happening in Venice with all natives. They've selected 2 blocks. They haven't been able to plant yet, but they have received approval from UFD not to plant in this particular area. And they're going through the process now to get approval. They put forth 86 different native trees. So they're trying to determine which ones can be planted in this area. The city forest officer will be there. You certainly could share with her your desire to have more natives. Also, there is a station where you can discuss and put a sticky up there saying, more natives. We want California live oaks or Engelmann oaks or whatever we want. I will also say that in commercial areas, many businesses do not want to deal with the leaf litter, and that kind of falls into the black walnuts because those walnuts fall and businesses find it difficult to, they don't want the responsibility of having to clean those things up. So there are many layers and it's kind of complicated, but this is our opportunity to tell the city what we want. And yes, Elizabeth, all of this information that's being collected will be analyzed. And I for my council district, for CD10, I am preparing a report with all of the information that we're gathering on Saturday. And that will be in my report, which will go with the other 49 reports, which will be combined and put in the UFMP.
Right. So I had sort of promised Teresa that this would be brief.
Yes. I was doing a lot of talking and it's already 8 o'clock.
Corinne, I thought you had your hand
She
up.
was doing a thumbs up.
Oh, a thumbs up. Did
So-
you? Okay. Well, I'll do a plug for board membership. Laura and Teresa and I bet Elizabeth Hall could, chime in on the effectiveness of being on a board. It puts you in the path of getting lots more information and lots of opportunities to act. So Corinne, if you're interested in really being effective, getting on a board.
Well, she's on the UNNC.
Oh, you're on the board.
She's on the board.
Maybe you said you were on the board. Oh,
No, she
And
sits on
not
the,
to mention, wait, your sister is the chair of Harvard Heights, right?
Yes.
So,
Woohoo!
family.
Oh,
And
you're on
Corinne
the
is
Yes,
board.
family.
Foundation requirements. Okay. Well, thank
Corinne
you.
is on the Emergency Preparedness Committee and the Homelessness Committee. And
Yes.
hey, Charlie, you used to be on the board too. So we all know
Yeah.
how important
Yeah.
it is to be on the board. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Okay.
No,
Right.
don't worry. I appreciate it. I appreciate that feedback.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, everybody, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. See you Saturday.
Okay, bye, Corinne.
Yeah,
Bye,
see you
See you
everybody.
Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and then this one will be 1 minute. Also on our agenda, just as an announcement, and everyone here, except for Corinne, so maybe I sent it to you too, has the actual agenda, but there will, if you're at all interested in exploring artificial turf, the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, first of all, has changed its name. It was the NCSA, it's now the LANCSA. Anyway, there is a panel next week that they're just highlighting in their own outreach about the reality of artificial turf, risks and solutions. It's hosted by the Climate Reality Project, San Fernando Valley chapter, but you don't have to drive to the valley, it's online. And the Zoom link is on the agenda. And essentially, it seems from a climate point of view, artificial turf has gone from being good to once again being seen as bad. And we could make that an upcoming agenda item. This is just, if we wanted to, I hate artificial turf. But anyway, so there's a thing. And then the next item, unless anyone has questions.
And everybody want to hate on artificial turf for a second?
Well, because we want to let Elizabeth do the presentation.
Absolutely. Okay. No, it's
Well, yeah, I hate on it, but some people like it. It does stay green until it fails. Anyway.
all right. So let's go to number 4. Our update from the Garden School Foundation, and take it away, Elizabeth.
Okay, so Elizabeth, you're gonna tee this up while I figure out how to share a video on the screen.
Perfect. Yeah. So let me just get my camera back on. Great. So I was just going to give a little bit of an introduction to this documentary, which was filmed by some students at Cal State LA, and they found GSF through Googling grassroots community-based nonprofits, and they found us. They came and toured. They came out to several of our events. They were really wonderful to work with. And as you watch, you'll see highlights from our campus composting program, which UNNC helped support with grant funding, as well as some community compost workshops. So thank you again for believing in school gardens. And I hope you're watching it, you'll get to see kind of like a broad bit of the programming, but then also a little bit of like the impact of the composting that you guys help support.
And it's about 13 minutes, and you guys will tell me if you get bored, because I can't see you anymore. And I don't know how to get rid of the right-hand column. And yes, I'm intrigued by the wild raccoon falls in love with a dog, but we're not going to watch that one tonight.
Can you
Yeah.
expand it to?
I don't know how to.
Yeah, the far right corner. The far right, the bottom corner.
And can we hear it?
Can everyone see just the, here?
Oh.
Everybody see that?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
And can we hear it?
I can.
Garden School Foundation was founded in 2005 by a coalition of neighbors, administrators, and community members with the 24th Street Elementary community. They were going to repave the blacktop in the back of the school, but decided that they could do something more that would bring more focus to the school and a different opportunity for the students who live in that area. So they ended up paving or beating the asphalt, which is why our logo is a beat, and unpaved 1.5 acres of that space. That was really the foundation of Garden School Foundation. Our core educational program is our Seed to Table program, which we implement in our 10 partner schools across the city. That means students come out to the garden twice a month during their regular school days for 2-hour-long lessons. The first hour-long lesson is for a garden-based science lesson. So anything that you could be learning in your science class. We also do a lot of social emotional learning, recognizing how much support our students need in that way. So all of our lessons start with a mindfulness activity, breath work, and then all of our lessons end with 5 minutes of unstructured garden time where kids are just left to their own adventures in the garden.
We just incorporate more activities, and so instead of just having us sit down and talk, there are a lot of opportunities for us to look around the garden, find an insect, and a lot more opportunities for them to move their bodies and interact with their surroundings. I think there's definitely a shift from when they're sitting down to moving around in the garden. For the most part, they're sitting down all day in classroom, and so I definitely see them eager to move around. And I think it's, part of it is just them being kids and constantly wanting to get that energy out, but also it's them being curious. They hear their classmates say, "Look, it's a butterfly," and then they all run over. And so it's also just an opportunity for them to get that excitement out. Some of the impacts we see in our students with our programming is that students are really getting a lot more courage in these kind of spaces. I grew up in LA, and I know there's not as much opportunities for you to find green spaces. And so I really see it in my students that they feel confident when they see a spider or a bug. Specifically in some students, they don't feel comfortable even walking in. And so, through the progression of our classes, I think they're really gaining confidence in their abilities and also just being comfortable in these kind of spaces. I think my experience with Garden School Foundation has really shown me that education is truly the key to just showing students that sustainability is possible in their lives. We teach it in very small ways in our classes. As simple as in our cooking classes, we teach our students, look at the food that you have, can we compost this? And even with our other programs, we're really teaching them about composting and reducing our food waste.
We now have a cafeteria to compost program, which is a really innovative program. There isn't another program like it in the country, where we are in cafeterias daily with students diverting food from the landfill. We started as a pilot program, trying to figure out how much food waste was out there and what small organizations could do to help combat that. And once we realized that we were diverting over 1,000 pounds of food from the landfill every month just at 24th Street, we couldn't in good consciousness stop doing that. There really is no one else like us doing it in this impactful of a way.
We are trying to expand our cafeteria to compost program. I'm not sure if you've ever been in the cafeteria in an elementary school, but there's a lot of, students take one bite out of their apple and then throw the rest of it away. And so it's a lot of food waste happening. We're reminding students that they can compost things that they don't finish. So all the apples, the carrots that they don't finish, we remind them to put it in the compost bins. We've also implemented share tables at those schools, and so it's also an opportunity for students to get more food if they'd like.
Today we made a community mural, a collaborative mural for this area that is going to be the composting area for this school. So we we take all of the leftovers from school lunches and compost them and then feed that compost into the garden. This mural is here to inspire and remind people what composting is all about.
So our farmers markets are a really wonderful way that we hit the food access part of our mission. So we partner with Food Forward to distribute 2,000 pounds of produce. Our partnership with Angel City is really vital in that because they are the ones who help us pick up the 2,000 pounds of produce in Bell and transport it to our schools. Our three main pillars are food justice and food access is one. The next is impacting folks with environmental stewardship. And then the third is raising community health. And so the fact that this is rescued food kind of hits that environmental stewardship aspect. Our volunteers know that, our staff knows that, we communicate that to the school communities. And then just in food access, food justice, we're providing food for people. A lot of people focus on like what is deemed quote unquote healthy, but for nutrition, but really for us, nutrition is about getting food in people's bellies. And so this is giving folks that access. And then raising community health, same thing, getting more food in people's bellies, more fresh produce available for folks really hits that as well. The community loves the farmers markets. They're something that they really have latched onto and appreciate. And also on our end, it's the most unique way that we get to interact with the most diverse and large cohort of the community. And so this just broadens our reach and also to just more familiar faces on campus. I think the more folks can recognize us, the better. Volunteers are a very vital part of GSF in general. Our community garden days are with volunteers. We can have up to 70, 80 volunteers show up at one of those events. And really it's the support we need to keep our gardens looking the way they do.
Community events and partnerships play a huge role. They connect our larger community outside of the student and staff community to our garden. So it gets the word out and helps funnel volunteers to maintain this garden, which requires a lot of people power. And sometimes we need more than student hands working in the garden, we need adult and skilled hands. So community partnerships and events help bring that sort of skill set to the garden. They also provide a lot of monetary funds to help with our programs and being able to just have supplies and really make sure the students are getting the most out of the program. One of the main ways we see it is that students are less picky eaters. They're more curious about fruits and vegetables. They're more curious about being in the outdoors. Teachers say that garden education helps them connect more with different parts of their world. There's a lot of social emotional learning that comes in the garden, especially for students who are in an urban setting. It can be very beneficial for their mental and emotional health to be in a green space and not spend their entire day in a concrete jungle that is the school. There's also a lot of personal learning that happens. Students are able to explore using their senses, and students love just having the opportunity to learn about science in a more personal and student-led way, really. I think it's really important that young minds are inspired to take care of their environment and inspired by green spaces so that they can become environmental stewards and become sustainable people and practice being environmentally friendly for the future.
Like any small nonprofit has had some bumps along the road. I would say our biggest bump is around funding. So we historically were primarily grant funded. We had one large individual donor who had supported that expansion. Unfortunately, that donor moved away from LA and then took their funding with them. And at that point, we really realized that our funding model was not sustainable. Our partner schools only paid $5,000 to buy in, right, to contribute something, but that is just a small fraction of what our programming actually costs.
a wide variety of opportunities for volunteers. If you'd like to volunteer just for a day, just for a couple of hours, we have community garden days. If you are interested and you have the time, we do have an internship program that people can apply for. It's a great way for them to get more experience in this kind of space and this kind of career. And we do open up our school sites to the communities on our community garden days. And so if anyone is interested in seeing what these spaces look like, they can always come and volunteer on those dates. I think my favorite memory of the garden is with my kindergartners. Every year I make a point of planting rainbow carrots with them. And the reason why it's my favorite is because a lot of the times our students don't know what our food looks like when it's growing. You know, it's attached to a plant, or with carrots specifically, it grows underground. So throughout our garden classes, they see the tops of the carrots growing, but they don't see the bottom. And so when we finally get to harvest them, it's always such a huge celebration. They're shouting, they're screaming, their amazement of just being able to pull the carrot out, and it's a beautiful purple carrot or an orange carrot, and it's something that is completely new to them. And so it's always my favorite moment with my students.
Escape. Right. And then go to unshare.
Okay, stop share.
Red, stop the share. Okay. Oh, look, Karina's clapping. So, Elizabeth, what else would you want to, not this Elizabeth Hall, what else would you want to tell us about Garden School for as we enter 2024?
Yeah, so we are expanding our program this fall. We're going to go to 2 more school sites. We're also, so right now, compost and seed to table, our 2 programs are separate, but we're going to fully integrate them and then expand it to all 9 of our LAUSD schools, 2 of which will happen this year. The rest will happen the following year. So that's really exciting. The other really big, exciting aspect to our programming in terms of the composting program is that we are switching to a student-led initiative. So right now, the program is primarily like the composting that happens done by compost team members. We're going to keep those compost team members there, but to make the program scalable across the district with no money, right? The schools don't have money for the programming by switching to.
Hang on a second.
Hold on just a second. It auto-loaded.
There we go. Okay, go ahead.
To keeping you streaming, but yeah, I was just going to say that with student-led initiative, it just makes the program a lot more accessible for other school programs and other, if they don't have someone like nonprofit GSF to help them, but also it gets more kids involved in this composting process so that when they go to middle school, they'll be more likely to bring that program there. So they'll be leading all aspects of the program. And we're piloting it this spring, and I'm very excited about it. It is a long-held dream to have students running the program. So,
Bravo. Yay. And Marius, yeah. You got a question?
Hello.
Or?
Yes. You said this is a student-led program. From what I've been kind of seeing in the past many years is that if the parents are not introducing these fruits and vegetables in a daily situation to their kids, the kids won't have that exposure enough to those items. I'm seeing a lot of, especially young men, they have this thing about, well, I don't eat vegetables, and you're like it's a pride thing, like they don't do it. And of course, we know it's the way it's prepared, the way it's done, they're all that. But I'm just wondering if has there been any way to involve the parents to help them to say, hey, look, you have these vegetables here. Let's show you. Is there anything we can do to help you introduce those to your families? That way, the kids get more involved. It becomes like a self-feeding situation where the the parents can then introduce the vegetables, the kids get involved, they want to get more excited and they want to grow them. So I'm just wondering if you have anything like that or thoughts on that.
Definitely. I mean, I think targeting parents is like very key part of the process of getting kids to eat healthier. So one kind of unique aspect of our program is that it takes place for the whole 5 years kids are in school. So they come twice every week. And after every cooking class, they get to take the recipe home. The recipes are bilingual in English and Spanish. Most of our parents are Spanish speaking as their main language. And then we also, the farmers market has been a really key measure, and also the after school redistribution. So one of the things we found was that even when parents really want to feed a lot more whole fresh foods, they're often harder to afford, but even if they are affordable, there's no guarantee that kids will eat it versus like spending your limited money on like a frozen pizza or something. So by having recipes kids can make together, and kids already having that 6 years of training at school, combined with greater access to actual fruits and vegetables, which we give through our markets. Our markets distribute about 2,000 pounds, and they happen at our high needs school 1 to 2 times a month. And so really just also increasing the availability of grocery items has seemed to had a really big impact on increasing the interest in eating healthy in communities.
A question
Mhm.
about, so the food from the cafeteria can end up some of it in the compost.
Mhm.
Any of the farmers market items make its way to the cafeteria?
Most of we don't ever have any stuff left over. So I think because the hunger is really high in a lot of the communities that we serve, very rarely do we have stuff left over, and we do usually put that in the parent center. And so you can imagine 2,000 pounds is quite a lot. It's about 5 vehicles full, and that's like stuffing, some of that's like a truck usually. So it is kind of a lot, but parents, there's just very rarely any left over. And we've also discovered that there's a high need among school employees as well. We did not realize that cafeteria and other sort of service staff only make very, like 30,000 a year for the most part, or maybe a little bit higher than that. A lot of them are part-time as well and make even less. So they have a great desire in getting produce from the markets. And at our one school garden that has the capacity for this, 24th Street, where you guys helped with the compost program, that school, we've started community beds. So the cafeteria staff has their own beds where they can grow, for the most part, peppers, lettuces, things like that. We have about 6 of those beds going right now. They're completely full ownership to the food services staff.
Right, and I think everybody remembers that we provided some seed money for the first farmers market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if you worked there yet or not.
I did. It was during COVID.
Right.
That was the first one that we had done. And they've grown. I mean, back then we
you didn't have the other food. I mean, that was just a minimum.
It was just with our school garden. Yeah. It was so popular. Like, I mean, popular is kind of an odd word to use, but like the markets had such a great need that's when we switched to this kind of model of supplementing our garden produce, which just can't produce that level of volume. But yeah, you guys have been instrumental from the beginning in both the compost and the markets.
So Elizabeth, how much food is produced in the gardens at the school? And then I guess I would say, and is all of that consumed by the kids? Mm-hmm. Cooking classes at the school. Is that how it works?
Yeah, for the most part, every garden's a little different. So 24th Street, they grow quite a bit of produce because they have a lot of beds, and they have a lot of staff who work at that school through our partnership with California Climate Action Corps program. But we also, at some of our other school gardens, there's only like 8 beds. Those are mostly producing lettuces used for classes, peppers, tomatoes, and herbs, as well as natives. We did just win a really large or a $50,000 grant from Freedom Farms, which is an initiative through an LA organization to increase production. And we're going to experiment with having 15 production style beds, which means we're going to really be focused on growing as much as possible. And it's kind of another pilot program to see if it's even possible for a school garden when you have devoted staff to grow at the volume to be considered a food producer. So we may be growing more.
And you've come such a long way from those, you know, I know that preceded you, the really early days. I mean, when was this founded? Like 20 years ago, 15 years?
Yeah, it was 20 years ago. Yeah, the first garden, but the first farmers market was held that you guys gave funding. The most recent one was in 2020. But we used to have weekend giveaways in our community garden days, which were like 200 to 500 pounds. But the garden at 24th Street was 20 years ago, and then we expanded in 2013. And I've been there since, 2016.
Right. And it's not a full acre, is it? I mean, how big is it?
It's an acre and a half.
Wow.
So it's pretty big, but only some of that is like some of that is orchard, some of that is the compost area.
Wonderful. So, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks for having me.
So I know that Charlie and myself, we helped, you know, we've been there, we helped with we learned about worms, right?
Oh, at the compost workshop. That's right. Probably
Oh, yes.
compost thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw those worms. Yay.
Is there anything you want from us? Is there what would you like from us?
I did not prepare a specific ask this time because I was just thinking we were showing the documentary. So I'm just here more as a supporter and to thank you guys for supporting us in the past.
Right. Thank you. Nor can we match a $50,000 grant.
That's wonderful.
Would never, it was honestly a very like shocking, it's part of our mission to like raise all our beds to ADA compliance. And it was very surprising that we were awarded it. So we're very grateful.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That was awesome. That was incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
So you didn't know about it before, Corinne?
No, I didn't. My sister attended 24th Street. I just didn't know that would be so great to go back and just help out in the community and be a volunteer. That's awesome.
Lily, we definitely do have two more. And just to give one last little plug, we do have a community garden coming up in March on the 16th, as well as ones in April and May. So if you do want to come by, you can volunteer or you can just come by and tour it. We totally love when older students come and visit the space. So we'd love to have you and everybody else on the council come out.
Oh, great. Now, how do we get information for that? Do we get it on like flyers or email or?
You can just email me directly. I should be on that chain, but if not, I
can provide the email to Corinne because Corinne's not on the thread, but you'll be on the thread going forward.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
And I'm happy to share that information. We have a flyer and everything, but email's the best way to kind of get that info.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Elizabeth, I have a quick question. Have you heard of the Degnan microfarm?
I don't think I have, no.
I was out running and it was sort of close to 7th Avenue
and
Degnan, which is just past Rodeo, I think. Rodeo.
So just south of here.
And it's somebody who turned their whole front yard into a microfarm. But talk about
the
production farming.
Yeah, the guy who did it is the guy who does crop swap.
Jeremiah Towers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know him really well. We've like partnered with Crop Swap like many years ago, but I'll have to look that up in connection because I've not heard of that particular. Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet I could get your email pretty easily from Laura. I could
on
send you.
She's on our thread.
Okay, I could send you the photos I took from there because I don't know. Like for instance, it's not beds.
Mm-hmm.
Not beds. It's towers.
That's what we're going to experiment with, towers too.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Well, we have a new board member and her whole thing is like hydroponics, growing lettuces in Hawaii. That was her business. So We've never done vertical growing before, but because we received this grant, it allows us to like be a little more experimental in what we're doing. So we'll see.
Fantastic. All I want to say is that I wish we could do it without plastic.
Yeah.
Because it's just PVC is not recyclable, the last I checked. And
No.
so there you use it as long as you can, but it still is going to the landfill. So it seems like if we can do towers, we should be able to do sustainable,
Yeah, they
build.
just have like like the way they have compostable forks and stuff. I'm sure there's kind of a vegetable cellulose that they could, yeah, that's interesting.
Right. Or you're on the road.
Yeah.
And you're in the forefront of the road. Thank you so much. What you do. Super. All right, next I think we have a discussion regarding future environmental committee agenda items.
Right. Just if anybody has any ideas for other agenda items for the coming year. I mean, we've still got Teresa mentioned she's, been appointed the head of a new standalone tree committee,
Yes.
which is only going to meet quarterly. And I'm going to talk to her about the possibility that kind of means we meet 2 times, then she meets, so that those of us who are already tree huggers and members of this committee could maybe attend both without having too many extra meetings.
Yes.
Right, I mean, and that this space would be available, but I don't know what her idea is. And, but what she was quite clear with the board is that our existing projects in UNNC that relate to trees. So some of them are this committee's, and then there's another project in Western Heights. She's not taking them. Her committee's starting fresh. So we'll have to continue. Maybe when we go on Saturday and KYCC is there, we can kind of whisper, what's happening with our Washington Boulevard trees, for example, but that's still our project.
Yeah, absolutely. But if she's taking trees and they're taking, trees, absolutely great, they need it. We could focus on plastic and trash and transportation.
Yeah,
and
we're just not doing
coolness.
new tree projects, but we're gonna continue to follow up on our existing.
But what are people's passions here?
Yeah.
Like I have sort of a plastic passion.
As does Charlie.
Yeah. Want to speak it?
Yeah, Charlie, what's new in the plastics world?
I mean, I'm just changed jobs, so I'm just kind of like under a swamp of new job.
Is it a new job with a lesser commute?
No, unfortunately, I thought it would be. I know it's so frustrating. It's many miles closer, but the commute is actually longer because it's in Venice. So going west in the mornings, from here is terrible. So I'm working on getting that location changed, but I have just been like, trying to acclimate. So I am not up and up on anything. I feel like there was something lately though that was on anyway, I'll think but definitely something to add to future meetings because it is always something that needs attention.
So you miss it, but Elizabeth has a new job too.
Oh, very cool.
Elementary school librarian. I'm a
And where are you? What school?
LaSalle.
Oh, are you working for LAUSD?
Yes, I will be.
That is what I switched to LAUSD also.
Fantastic.
Yes, I'm the social worker at Venice High School. So
great.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. You too. I'd love to talk. And that reminds me that just in terms of sustainability, if we wanted to have like a support group, we don't have time at this meeting to just kvetch, to just talk about what we're trying to do, what feels hopeless, what little tricks we've discovered. I posted my long, on Facebook, I posted my long CVS unrecyclable receipt. And it's with all the coupons on it, and it was 2 feet long. It's like, I don't need this. They used to, and another CVS I went to get my TB test, they sent it to my email.
Well, you can choose it to go to the email, but then you don't,
that day.
not that day, but then you don't have the coupons to use, because
Well,
they're stuck in the email.
I don't need anything
So-
at CVS that they have, but so at least I was using social media to post, please give me the option to not produce this. And that's one tiny little thing to do.
Right.
Everybody's trying to do as much as they can. I know they are.
Right. Well, one agenda topic that I think we're going to be returning to repeatedly is EV charging, which doesn't exist easily on the streets. I mean, for those of us who are lucky enough to have our own homes, then we can install our own chargers. But in UNNC, at least half of our stakeholders, and I think actually a higher proportion, are renters. I mean, some of them might be 3 years old, so, I can't tell you what proportion of our stakeholders are adult renters with cars. But even the brand new buildings are not required to add a lot of EV chargers. Some of them are not required to add any because they're not required to have parking. So if their tenant has the need for a car and does get an EV, but is parking on the street, there's no chargers. And then we also have so many of the older buildings do not have parking lots. So, I think we've talked about it before, but I think we should talk about it again.
Yeah, I mean, a low-hanging fruit on that situation is on Western and 3rd Street. There is a line of the Blue LA electric vehicles. And I remember for the first 6 months to a year that I saw it, all those, 5 little cars parked with their own chargers right there. Nobody used them. They just sat there. And now all of them are getting used all the time.
But one of the issues is that the cars park overnight, so other people can't park there. I mean, I don't know about the blue thing, because that's, I think, for profit.
Okay. But I just like the idea of, a resident nearby doesn't have to have their own car because they can just use one of the blue.
Oh, the blue, right, but those are also charging, right?
They charge there.
Yeah, that same company was setting up chargers that other people can pop coins into.
Oh, good.
So, but anyway, it's just
string of chargers on Pico close to Western. Do you know where, not that helps,
I think you're right. And there's also a single charger on Adams, somewhere between 8th and Crenshaw. But I think it should be an agenda item because the real question is thinking big. How can the city think big? Can it, first of all, develop a program where curbs are painted lime green as opposed to dark green, because dark green already has a different meaning. And that's where, and there's charging there, but it's a max 4-hour parking. So no one, it has to I mean, in other words, I'm making this up, but it should be consistent and big throughout the city. So that people,
because isn't it 2030 that they're not going to be able to tell? Yeah, I mean that's like right
it's right around the corner. I mean, they're not doing anything. So we have one tenant who does own an EV, and we don't have a parking lot. And he keeps writing, I'll install the charger, and we'll just if it's okay with you, and drag the cord across the sidewalk. We can't drag the cord across the sidewalk. For ADA reasons, among other things. And, it's just not viable.
Right.
So,
and even if somebody was lucky enough to get the spot right in front of their building or right.
And then there's that. I'm saying it's a combination of, would he have the parking space? But you just can't have a cord go across the sidewalk.
We know now that we have an agenda item of EV parking, and maybe we can ask Dan Cagle to come. We can ask Marius about what his experiences are charging around town. Marius has a driveway area And
Right.
presumably, Marius, do you plug it in like a toaster oven, or do you have a special fast charger?
I have a standard 110-volt outlet. I just needed something quickly just to go ahead and at least charge my car at home. There's plenty of places to charge because there's companies that do it, Electrify America, ChargePoint, they're all around. They just charge you in order to use, their service, of course. And doesn't include Tesla, which has all their own system, which eventually is supposed to open up because they're going to all move to the new NACS standard, which Tesla now pretty much won the standard for everybody having the same charging setup in the future. So for apartment people, you're all right. It is hard for them because they don't have that kind of situation. Many apartment owners don't want to spend the extra money on any type of other thing they feel they may not gain benefit from. So I can see why it can be hard to do that. You might have to incentivize them in order to do it. At least have one or two.
Right.
And there are companies that there is a company that can do it without causing major electrical spikes in the bills for those owners. So there is a possibility for them to do it. It's just getting the installation, everything done.
Yeah, well, but also, again, there's a new land use kind of law that took effect, AB 2097, and parking is simply no longer required on any new construction, residential or commercial, for any project within X feet, I don't know what X is, of a bus stop.
A bus stop? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, basically, so basically, any building being built on a commercial corridor no longer is required to provide parking. Now, a lot of people are providing parking because from a marketplace point of view, it's going to be really hard either to rent expensive apartments or to convince a retailer to rent the retail space if there's zero parking. So, but I'm just saying, if there's no required parking, there's no required EV charging either. So anyway, so that obviously it's at least one agenda item. And I think what we want to do is talk about all the issues, but then talk about what initiative, because remember, we're a neighborhood council, what initiative would we want to put forth to our elected council person who happens to chair the city's transportation committee. So that's good for this year. So, so that might be two different sessions. First, we have a round robin discussion like we started but shouldn't be doing tonight. And then we kind of develop a policy request.
Absolutely, that sounds great.
So that's one topic that I've been thinking about a lot, even though I do not have an EV and probably never will, but maybe I will. I don't know. Are there any other things that we should plan for future agendas? What was the one we first were going to do tonight and then put it off? I have forgotten already. The one you wanted to do, we said next month? I have forgotten. Elizabeth had an idea, but we'll remember it.
I was up early and from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. was an online webinar called put on by the Moms Clean Air Force. And Chelsea Clinton spoke at it, and the EPA director, I can't remember his name, spoke at it. And there was a lady who spoke very eloquently about plastic and how awful plastic is and how much more of it that they're producing now and it's getting trashed now. And so,
well, it's also leaching into our food from the containers themselves.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And you still see them, and we're trapped by our own need for convenience. So I would like to have an agenda item where I'd like to talk to you about carbon pricing. Because many people don't understand what carbon pricing actually could be, how it would affect the landscape of carbon use. And one could use it the same way for plastic. There could be a plastic tax. So the thing is, if you add a tax to something, it increases the price, so it makes it less attractive. And people naturally make different choices. If things that are plastic or things that are carbon-based have what's the real cost to them? It's because we don't charge the oil companies for the dirty air. We don't charge them for that. They get it free. And we all know that, right? And then the invisible carbon pollution, which is warming our earth, which created that terrible storm that just happened. So all that damage is related to carbon, to global warming, which is related to fossil fuels. So people who are, producing and profiting by selling us fossil fuels do not have to pay for the damage that they're doing. Okay, so you put a price on it.
So this is the agenda item.
This is the agenda item, and I'd like to convince you guys all that carbon price is possible and is progressive. It's progressive. And if you put it in the right kind of policy, and I'll tell you about it later.
Okay, so Marius, should we be agendizing again, because we've done it before, native plants, monarch butterflies, disappearing bees? I'm assuming it all relates to native plants, though I could be wrong. Is there a reason to put something like that on our agenda, one of our agendas this year? Or is it just, use natives? And that's not really an agenda item. Is there a presentation you've seen that would be interesting to share? I don't know.
I'd have to look it up and research something that is kind of focused on what the goal would be.
Right. That's what I'm saying is like, we can talk about all these topics, but what would the initiative or the goal of policy be? And I don't know the answer. This was just a question. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I understand that. We're just taking steps right now, the first steps. So I totally understand. Mm-hmm.
I put another thing on the agenda, which is the gas.
Oh yes, that was
the gas-powered blowers. The leaf blowers.
Yeah, but that wasn't the thing. That's a thing, but I remembered the thing we talked about.
Okay.
So also Elizabeth and I saw a little presentation. Remember, on the portable, put on top of your gas stove induction.
Oh, you came to my house and you saw my induction cooktop.
I did not. I saw the presentation from the Sustainability Alliance.
Oh.
Okay, so we saw a presentation that a gal gave at a NSCA unrelated meeting, but it was on, we're all supposed to get away from gas stoves. None of us are going to really get away from it very quickly because we probably like our gas stoves. And what are they called? Induction ovens?
Induction cooktops, or you can get induction whole ranges.
Yeah, well, the whole ranges are really expensive, but there's now these little portable like camp cookers that are induction, and you can just put it on top of your gas stove and use it in lieu of the gas burners. Anyway, this gal gave this presentation that Elizabeth is trying to remember if she really saw it, but I know you were going in and out of the meeting.
Yeah.
And something else was going on. But I think we want to invite her to present.
For the record, you guys, if you go induction cooktop, you will never go back. I am so excited about my induction cooktop. It does a fantastic job.
Right. So we'll find out what's convenient for this person.
Sure.
Because she did a great presentation, and
but I'm going to say you don't want to get rid of your gas stove. You don't want to get rid of your gas heater, because while I love my solar panels and I love my my induction cooktop and my electrical appliances, I'm having an electrical problem. So if I don't have power, then at least I can cook with my gas stove. So it's like you want to have flexibility in order to have, you want backups of your backups, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so that was the one we talked about, and then couldn't pull off in 3 days. So okay,
we're going late.
We are. So I had sent everybody an email except for Kareem, but I'm going to add you to the thread to collect other agenda ideas, and we get, some of us, Elizabeth and I guess, get an automated reminder of this meeting every month saying,
Right.
don't forget. And it comes the Saturday before. So it triggers the, oh, what agenda items do you want to do? And then I usually forward that to everybody who's a member of the committee and say, hey, what agenda items do you want to have on the agenda? So, Karina, with your permission, I'll add you to that thread. And,
Okay.
you know,
Yay.
because it's not blind, everybody knows everybody else's email that's on the thread.
So to wrap up, let's go around the room and say like what you'd like, one item you'd like to be on the agenda in 2024 sometime. And I'll say gas leaf blowers. Charlie.
I guess, it's kind of just the same thing. The plastics, I think, is like such a big one. Because it just, again, like they're just everywhere. And it does feel like it's impossible not to be a consumer of plastic. And so I think that is just one that we could talk about every week and we wouldn't run out of stuff. Every month. Sorry, we don't meet every week.
All right, Marius. What gets your goat? Gets under your
Wow. I was
so
trying to
much.
think, I was trying to think. Yeah, finding alternatives to easy alternatives to things that we currently dispose of. That's a good idea what she's talking about. Plastic is one thing for sure. Anything like, paper towels or other things you use on a regular basis that, you could replace with some type of alternative that are, well, essentially going back to what our grandparents and great-grandparents used. They didn't have half of the social convenience stuff. What did they use? So, yeah, definitely finding more sustainable alternatives to everyday items. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Elizabeth, and then Karine, you'll.
I have one more.
Okay. Oh, all right. I want you to go last, Karine. So, Elizabeth, then Laura, then Karine. Okay.
I feel like echoing the plastics, I think, is a really good thing to focus on because it also gives people like things that they can do on a smaller scale.
Nice. I think we're gonna do plastics.
Well, I would just like to get a follow-up report, in addition to things I already mentioned, follow-up report of some sort or another from the Department of Sanitation as to how effective, if at all, this program to put all of our food waste into the green trash cans has been, if it's effective at all.
Yeah.
So, so in other words, following up.
Right, what kind of compliance is there? Yeah.
Yeah, what's the deliverable on it?
Yeah.
I think asking the Los Angeles controller might be a good question. He's been investigating a lot of different things.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Awesome. And Karine, so glad you're here. So glad you're with us.
And we're putting you on the spot now. if you.
Well, you know what, really, there's two things that do get to me right now. It used to be that we could dispose of our batteries at our local Home Depot or Lowe's. There's no such thing anymore. They don't allow you to bring in your used batteries. So there's no place, an alternative. They don't accept that anymore. And then the other thing is,
so how to dispose of electronic hazardous battery? Well, that whole thing. How do you do it now? Because
how
Best
do you
Buy
do it? I
does.
used to go to Home Depot.
Best Buy does. You can go to Best Buy and drop it off.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a big drive to get. Yeah.
It's not that bad. You just go to Culver City. It's about 10 minutes away.
I don't mean it's that bad, but
I have an option though. You can go to your public library.
You can dispose of batteries at the public library.
You have to wrap them in tape. If you have some masking tape, you wrap the ends in the masking tape so that when they're in the big box together, they don't start reacting with each other.
Oh, local library?
Your local library.
I did not know that. See,
Me
I
too.
don't think people know this.
This is why we're here, right?
And what was your other one? You had two. We interrupted
Okay.
it.
Well, I eat out a lot, so many times I get these beautiful Tupperware, plastic containers. I try to recycle them and reuse them, but then there's a lot of them. I can't. There's not enough storage in my kitchen. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Because some
Yeah.
I'll place them in the green, but I'm not so sure if that's the right place to dispose of them.
Not the black ones. Right. I get you. You're totally right.
I save them, but you're right. I mean, I've got a big collection.
Me too.
I mean, I use them,
Right.
but at some point, the lid no longer fits on the bottom because you've messed up.
Right. So, and it'd be nice if I could take my glass storage container and go to the Chinese food place and give them my perfectly clean glass container and say, put my rice and lo mein in this, please. They would never do it because
No.
the health department wouldn't allow them to.
Exactly.
But it seems like,
No, they would never do it.
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, so
There just quickly, there's a coffee place in Venice that does that. So for the to-go cup, they give you like a mason jar, and then you can I guess bring it back, and then they keep using that mason jar. I mean, I'm sure they
Starbucks, isn't that what Starbucks is now encouraging people to do? Buy their reusable
Yeah.
and use it. But again, I think the general category is recycling the difficult recyclables.
Yeah.
And what is not recyclable at all. And Amy, anyway, she lives on 7th Avenue. She is the chief recycling officer for the city of Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe she would come and talk about this here.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, do you guys like the idea of having presentations like tonight? Was that good?
Absolutely.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it very much.
All right.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, by the way, the filmmakers were great. I mean, that they did really nice cutting, in the different things.
No, I'm so happy to tell them. I'm going to tell them that we showed it tonight. It will make them really happy to.
Right. So they're students, or are they?
They
young?
are in the film department. Yeah, this is they get experience working with real equipment. It's very professional, and they got to show it at Hauserwerth, which is a gallery downtown.
Major gallery, yeah.
So.
Because it's interesting because another local nonprofit new to us, so another nonprofit that has moved into the community, is the AIA, which is Architects, ACLA, which is Architecture for Communities Los Angeles chapter. They've moved in on Adams Boulevard, and they've come to UNNC and some other resources, asking for an MPG, which we voted yes, to do a video, not about the environment, but about, in this case, the diverse architecture and diverse residents of the whole greater West Adams area. And so I don't know if they have the young filmmakers yet, right? I mean, because they're just conceiving the project. So I will share with them this video and see, just in case they need another project.
Yeah, because I think that Cal State program is often looking for nonprofit partners, and the students kind of get to pick, I believe, which ones they work with. So I'm happy to connect them with Jane, who's the program.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I have to reach out to them anyway to update them on what's going on, which is slow. I mean, luckily for Garden School Foundation, your MPG sailed through easily, but all of a sudden ours are slowing down, and they're asking lots of questions, and we have on all the different ones. So, but and then what are you using the video for besides me finding it and showing it?
Yeah, we've really just been using it for on our YouTube and kind of just showing it to our partners, mostly internal use right now. But yeah. Because
So,
it kind of came to us. We didn't commission it, but it was like a really nice surprise to get to do this kind of like have this opportunity to get such a great documentary on our work. So
great. Okay, I just looked at the clock and we have 4 minutes. So we
Oh,
must.
before we have to go. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Any last comments? Any last things before we go? Thank you for staying so long and being so patient. Yeah.
Okay.
Adjourned. Everybody have a great night.
Yeah.
Have a great month.
Bye.
Bye.
Likewise. Thank
See
you,
ya.
everybody.
You know, and have a great new job. Have a great new job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have an old job. I hope it's great too.
And make
Yes, I hope
stay
all the
cool
jobs
and
are
every way
good.
fun.
Yeah.
All right. Good night,
Okay,
everybody.
good night.
Bye.
Right.